What's going on? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Anissa Naomi. I'm a high performance transformation coach, and I help women elevate in work, life, and at home so they can get more out of life. Today, I'm sharing with you the 3 steps that I took to grow my career from 30K to 6 figures. I'm so excited to share this with you today because if you're anything like I was 7 years ago when I started my career, maybe you're feeling unfulfilled, you're looking around in your career wondering, is this it? Is this what I worked so hard for? Is this what I went to school for, got the degree for, went through all those interviews for, just for this? Maybe you're feeling undervalued, maybe you're feeling overworked. But I'm gonna tell you that the truth is you really can generate income for yourself in corporate America or otherwise that will help you feel more fulfilled and help you feel more valued. So when I got my first job out of college, I was thrilled. I was working for a professional baseball team and I was actually doing a job that I went to school for. And I'm not sure if you've been around for a while, but that's not so common, especially coming right out of college. So I was really feeling great up until the moment that I realized that this check that I was getting wasn't really going to be able to sustain me. It sounded really fancy, but in reality, I was broke. And frankly, I was discontent and unfulfilled. I looked around and I saw no options for advancement, nothing that was going to offer a challenge for me, and I knew that I wanted more. 7 years later and several jobs later, I'm now earning 6 figures. Here's exactly what I did to get there. These are the exact steps that I took to scale my career relatively quickly without going back to school or sacrificing my soul. My initial job search from my first job took me about 1 year to land a job. And I was getting to a point where I was losing hope. I was frustrated. I was getting interviews, but I wasn't getting offers. I was getting multiple rounds of interviews, even making it to final rounds of multiple interviews and not getting offer letters. I was over it. I was so over it. And I started telling people that, I was looking for a job, and lo and behold, Jordan, my boyfriend, now husband, recommended me to a couple who had started a boutique agency and they were looking for somebody to help them with digital marketing. So I took the meeting and I was really just hungry. I really wanted to learn. I really wanted to find a skill and learn a skill that I could use in multiple different areas. And this was the job that was going to allow for me to gain the experience on the job without having too many prerequisites because it was a startup. The real benefit that I had to offer, my number one asset, was the fact that I was hungry and the fact that I knew how to ask good questions. And I went with that and I was able to illustrate my value and I landed that gig. But there was something that was untraditional about this job, and that was that our agreement was that I was a 1099 worker, so I did not have benefits, and that similar to most jobs, but more so, I think because it was a startup, but that the contract could end at any time, or it was a month-to-month contract. So that was something that was different. So I really had to evaluate what I was willing to do, what I was willing to give in order to make that work. I was so grateful to my parents for allowing me the stability to return home, and that's what I did. Even though I got a pay raise with this job, I think I raised my pay by about 50% going into this job, so that was great. But I knew that I was going to need to create a buffer for myself in the event that things didn't pan out, because that was always a reality. So I was willing to take a risk, and that's the number one thing. That's the first thing. You need to be willing to take a risk. You need to be willing to look at something that might not be traditional in order to garner the skills that you need to make yourself marketable. So I knew that the payoff for this opportunity was going to be the skills as well as the compensation, because they were paying me more than my first job. But the skills that I garnered were going to be much more than the skills that I could garner, and much faster. I would get better faster in this environment because of the pace at which we had to operate, because we we had to get that check, okay? All of us collectively. Okay, so that was the number one thing. And through that, I continue to grow and expand my network. And that's the next thing. As you look to scale your career, you have to leverage your network. So as I was looking for my initial jobs, I was tapping into my network, looking to see who knows who knows what, and really just letting people know, hey, like I'm looking for a job. I'm looking for a job. Hey, I'm looking for a job. I'm looking for a job that looks like this. I'm looking for an opportunity that looks like this, and be specific. People will help you. So tap into your network. That is the second thing. Don't be afraid to ask people for direction. Don't be afraid to ask people for an introduction. Don't be afraid to shoot your shot. Now, finally, and I would say this is the biggest piece, is learning to communicate my value through storytelling. So you've gone to interviews and I'm sure you've talked about all the things that you've done, but for some reason, you're not getting offer letters. The one thing that changed from when I was getting interview after interview after interview and no offers to where I am today is that I have learned to communicate metrics and hard results through storytelling. So, for example, where at one point I might tell an interviewer that I, ran a campaign that generated 500 leads for my client. Whereas now I would say my client was looking for a solution to generate leads quickly, and they were behind on their business goals for the quarter. We were able to design a quick marketing plan by partnering with direct publishers to run a lead generation campaign and generate them 500 leads directly into their CRM within the quarter, helping them meet and exceed their business objectives. So I quickly tell a story and then I put the metric on the back of it, right? So I tell you that there was a business challenge. I tell you about the strategy. I partnered with a publisher to develop a lead generation campaign. Boom, 500 leads. That's way more compelling and it draws an interviewer in and makes you more interesting to an interviewer when you tell them a story. Facts tell, stories sell. So those are the three things that I was able to do to scale my career and ultimately helped me land a six-figure job. And not only that, and I'm not in some job that I am miserable in. It is a job that is difficult. It is a job that is challenging, but I'm working with a company and I'm working with people that I value. So in addition to those three things that I did through my job search, I also evaluated my personal values and would always vet my personal values up against company values. And not just what they were saying about their company. Go ahead and check out Glassdoor. Go ahead and check out what are other people saying about the companies that you might be looking at, and how was their interaction? Are they telling the story that is in alignment with how the company is selling themselves? That is one of the most important things when it comes to scaling your career without selling your soul, is making sure that you are with a team and a company and a culture that aligns with your values. Because at the end of the day, there are always going to be challenges. There are always going to be things that we can complain about. But when you're surrounded by good people, when you're surrounded by people who are in alignment with your values, you are less likely to feel that sense of deep discontentment that many of us are feeling in our careers today. Well, that's all for now. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, go ahead, like this video and subscribe, and let me know which one of these tips was most valuable for you. Until next time, bye.